It might take a second to come on. Are you there? Hmm. Hey, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Riya.
Yeah,
Hi.
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Although there's a lot of feedback, and I can't see. I mean, I don't need to see you for this, but it's nice. So probably I can't. Should we not do video?
Let me see.
Video is. It's not. I don't publish the video. I just. It's nice for us for the conversation.
Okay,
Um, but if you
hold
can't.
on a little bit.
Hmm. Are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Riya. Hey there.
Hi.
Hi. All right, should we forget about the video? Would that make it simpler?
I'm going to connect it. It's just that I'm okay. Hold on. I've tried
You know,
to
it's
connect.
it's really Ria, the video is not that important. It's nice for us, but it's not that important.
Oh, it's okay. Let me connect it. I
Okay.
was my charger is so short, so
Oh,
my
okay.
phone was the other side. Let me try.
Okay. Okay, I'm here. Hey, we did it.
Hi.
Hi, we did it. It's so much nicer to actually see you. Yeah, and at some point, let me just see, actually, I wanna just make sure what I am okay, I got the video going. I just wanna check my own settings to make sure I got everything going that I want going here.
Mhm.
Um, okay, because it's so nice to see you, and I sometimes I think, I don't, what I don't do is I don't have these I could post these videos on YouTube as well, but that's not what I've been doing. I've just been, doing audio releases to the podcast.
Mm.
But hold on one second, because I just want to see, just in case, if I ended up doing a video release on YouTube, would you be okay with that? By the way.
Yeah, I would be okay with it, though my face is horrible.
Oh, shush! Your face looks beautiful. Your face looks beautiful. I tell you, us women, everybody. Oh, immediately. Oh, my face doesn't look good. Da, 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 da. Okay, hold on one
No, because I've been on medication for 2 weeks.
second. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
antibiotics that
Yeah.
broke
Uh-huh.
out my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Um. Okay. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna worry about it right now, and I am gonna go ahead and do this interview. I have to just double check every. So your headset is in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's just go ahead and get. So before we start, um, one thing about this, I don't have. Hi. Hello,
Hi.
hello, hello, hello. I don't have any fancy editing that happens. What I do is I have a sound person who comes in after the fact and cleans up the track. So that's to say that if you ever want to stop anytime, it's fine to do it. But what we both need to do is stop and make a clean cut and then start again, because it's very easy for the sound person to just come in and cut that piece out. But
Hmm.
I don't come in after the fact and like really edit the interview. Just so you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And also, I have a question. I
Yeah.
saw on the email you said the interview is 1.5 hours.
No, it can be. It's usually 45 minutes.
Okay.
But it's the whole thing is generally an hour. What happens is after the fact, I introduce you after the fact, because I listen to the interview and I do an intro that includes why I wanted to talk to you, some of the highlights of our conversation, and that's when I read your bio, and for listeners. So in this, I'm not going to introduce you in this interview. So
Okay.
don't be surprised. But I am going to ask you to talk about yourself, obviously.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just okay. Let's see. Just want to make sure everything's going smoothly here. Um, yep. Okay. So, and Ria, is there anything specifically that you want from this interview, just so that I know?
I don't know. Of course, I would want us to have a very honest discussion, and I don't know. Are there any security threats or something like that? I saw the questions. The questions are really okay with me, but I don't know. I mean, South Sudan is known for high surveillance and things like that,
It's not
and
a what? It's not a what?
it's known for like
Yeah.
surveillance. I hope this is totally okay. And also, I wanted to just know more of where are we feeding this interview, and
Yes. So,
what is the purpose of this interview and things like that.
okay. So the interview goes out on it goes out all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
It goes
Okay.
out to all of my subscribers. They are in
Mm-hmm.
countries all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot control where it's going to go because it's a podcast and people share it. And so,
Okay, that's fine.
okay. Okay, so that's the deal. I mean, I can't, there's no once we've done it and I release it, I have no control over it at that point. That's
Okay, no problem.
okay. I know
Yes.
it's the nature of our internet world, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so, and the purpose of the Peace Building Podcast is twofold. I am the niche is to explore how people are building common ground. And specifically, I'm also trying to highlight uh, women because I think that the most impactful peace building initiative on the planet is for us girls to step into our leadership. So so
Of course, of course.
so those are the two areas that the podcast kind of focuses on. Is that
That's
good?
fine.
So I just want to say
Yeah.
we're having a little bit of we're not having the best internet connection, but and I'm assuming there's nothing you can do on your end. Um it's okay, but it's
No.
okay. Okay. We're just going to do the best we can. So are you
Well,
ready?
I think this is. I'm ready. I think this is much better than the one in South Sudan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would not have me.
Yeah. And is there anything I shouldn't ask you that could put you, can I ask you where you are? Can I ask you things like that? Or is there anything like that that would make you uncomfortable?
Well, I think I am comfortable with. You can ask me where I am and things like that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, Riya, thanks for joining us on the Peace Building Podcast. It is a pleasure and honor to have you. I'm, especially happy when I get, just really interesting young women who are doing great work in the world on this podcast to give them a platform to talk about what the work that they're doing. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder if we could just launch in and you tell, I mean, as you know, I'm going to have read your bio by the time, I read the bio in the intro, but it'd be great to hear something about you, who you are, where you come from. Yeah. And how you've gotten here today to this interview.
Okay. Thank you so much, Susan, for having me here, and I am humbled to be speaking with you today. Um, my name is Riya Yuyada. I come from South Sudan, and I am a women's human rights and peace activist. And basically, what I do is amplify women's voices, speak up on women's issues, and also advocate for peace because I come from South Sudan, a country that is only 8 years old, but has not known peace for a long time. So we got our independence from Sudan in 2011, and the excitement that we had is not the same as today. Um, because as soon as we got independence, we went back to war twice, 2013 and 2016. So you can see why we do peace work. We want to have our country be stable and also be at peace where everyone is happy and where everyone feels at peace in mind, body, and spirit, not just within the country, but also within us. So yeah, I'm a peace activist and a women's rights activist.
Could you, I mean, I think I told you that I have been in South Sudan a couple of times. So I mean, I've been in Juba and I've been in Torret, the two places I've been. I was there with the UN, and so I have some sense of your country. Um, but I wonder, gosh, one of the images that so stands out to me when I think when I first arrived in Juba
Mm-hmm.
was a huge, very dusty, a huge, a huge pile of empty water bottles, and
Mm-hmm.
a young girl, very, very thin, teenage girl, sitting nearby, just with her head in her hands. And that image just somehow has stayed with me of kind of our modern world and some of what's happening for some people on the planet. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about your background, what life has been like for you. Where you come from in South Sudan. Just a little bit of background on you would be really super interesting.
Oh wow! I think if I start telling you about me, it would take like the whole day. But I'll make it short. So, about where I come from in South Sudan, I come from Western Equatoria, a, a small village called Mundri, uh, as a state. Right now, it's Amadi state. Uh, I am from an ethnic tribe called the Murus, so I am a Muru Kodo, and uh, but I have spent most of my time in Uganda. So we had to escape with my mom and sister to Uganda when I was a few months old to go seek refuge in Uganda. And when we were there, that's where I was raised up. That's where I stayed. And my mom is Ugandan, and my dad is South Sudanese. So my
Mhm.
mom met my dad in South Sudan. And so when the tension started in South Sudan, um, my mom asked my dad to so that they leave to Uganda because she felt it was safer. But my dad said, I have never been there. I cannot go with you. Um, Please go with the kids. Take care of yourselves. If God wishes, we'll meet one day. Um, but I've also had conversations with my aunties, and they tell me because of the tensions, people are running from to different parts of the world. Because I have cousins and nieces all over the world. So the family was that time escaping to Khartoum, uh, but my mom said she cannot go to Khartoum because she has never been there. And
Khartoum is in Sudan itself, right?
yeah, in Sudan itself. And so that's how we ended up in Uganda. And I was having a conversation with my older auntie, and I was asking her, how come you guys went to Khartoum and then to Nairobi and then to other places of the world like
Mhm.
Australia, US, and how come my mom and my sister and myself didn't join you? And she said, well, we asked your mom to stay, but she couldn't stay. So she opted for Uganda, and we couldn't stop her from going. But the best we did was pray for her and hope that one day we will meet. And my auntie was like, I told her, you know, God, God has put it this way, and I believe the same God one day will make us meet. And I remember when we were having that conversation, I cried because finally we were together, and it felt good. So yeah, I spent my childhood in Uganda, and it was a tough life, of course, because we moved from one refugee camp to another, and then finally we settled in Kampala. But life was not the best,
So
it
so
was
you were in a
difficult being with.
you were in a refugee camp in
Yeah,
Uganda?
in the beginning, we went to a camp in near Congo called Aru, in a place called Aru. Um, and then we went to Ajumani, and then we went to Arua, and then we went to Kampala.
Mhm.
So it was move, move, move. And yeah, so I studied in Uganda, raised in Uganda, and as soon as I finished the first time I finished my high school, I came to South Sudan with my father. He came later and looked for us and found us, and that's how he put us to school. And then after my high school, we came to South Sudan. And just as you said, Susan, that you see bottles and uh, dust and ruin. That is what exactly I saw, because we came through Arua, through Koboko, and then to Juba. It was a long journey. It was very long. We kept on stopping and sleeping by the roadside, and then getting into another car and hitting the road. And but the beauty in that was coming home. I was like, oh, so this is home. You know, there were no buildings like today. You know, there were just empty land. You would see like one hut here and then another hut on the other corner, like that. But when I came to Juba, that was around 2004. It was it was I was like, no, this is different from Uganda. You know, this is like a ruin. But what I liked about it was the people. You know, like my some of my dad's relatives stayed behind during the crisis, and my dad would take me around showing me, this is my uncle, this is my cousin, these are my relatives. And when we visited, it was different. I mean, you go into a house and you see people don't have food, you see a sign of no food, but then they quickly fix for you something to eat. They bring for you drinks, they slaughter chicken to welcome you. It felt good. I mean, it felt like home. And I was like, even when it is empty like this is where I belong. This is home. But then, then I went back to Uganda because I had to finish my school. And then I kept on coming back and forth. And finally, I settled in 2013 after my university. And I went back to my village in Mundri, and I was volunteering there, helping IDPs, internally displaced people, encouraging them pick up peace, to think about peace rather than war. Because if we keep on thinking about war, we are going to end up in the internally displaced camps, and we will not ever be home again. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. So I came back home finally in 2013, and since then I have been in Juba and in South Sudan.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. Do you mind me asking you how old you are?
I'm 28.
You're 28. Wow. And what inspired you what inspired you to actually think about building peace and focusing on that? And then also would love to hear about Crown the Woman, the nonprofit that you founded, correct?
Yeah.
And tell us about that as well.
Well, I get my peace inspirations from so many things. As I said, I'm a war child. Uh, my grandmother originally came from Rwanda, and Rwanda was known for war. And then she settled in Uganda in an area called Mbarara, and then she moved to Kampala, and then she met her husband, the father to my mother, and then they gave birth to my mother. But then my mother also, there was some crisis in Uganda, northern Uganda, and my mom ran to Juba and to like make ends meet, to struggle and hustle. And then she met my dad. So I call myself a war child because I have known war. My mom has known war. My grandmom has known war. But what inspires me to do my work is a lot of things. Growing up away from home separated us from family. I mean, I remember when I was a child and I was in school, I would ask my mom, "Where is my dad?" And my mom would be like, "He's dead," because she had lost hope. She thought he had died because the state at which we left was something she didn't have hope that people would survive. So I believe that my dad is dead. And also, at some point in school, when people would like be asking, "Where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from South Sudan. I'm from Sudan." That time it was Sudan. And they would say, "But why are you fighting?" I was a child, and I'm like, "But I'm not fighting. I'm not killing anyone," you know. But you saw it's those such kind of situations made me start asking, but why are we fighting? So what is happening? So what is fighting? And of course, it is tough, and also interacting with different refugee kids, because I've spent most of my life with so many South Sudanese kids, and even hearing what is happening back home would leave you frustrated and devastated and things like that. So finally, when I went back to South Sudan, I was like, this is home, and we have to fix it. We have to work together to fix it. And so I go back to South Sudan. I go to Mundri in 2013. I was there 2014, and I was volunteering with this organization called Mundri Relief and Development Association. And I was uh, in the peace sector. I don't know how it happened, but my director saw potential in me and said, Ria, so one and foodstuffs and medicines to internally displaced people, but we don't want to just give them food. What do you think you can do? So I said, well, I think I can speak to them. I think I can tell them about peace. I didn't even know what peace was. I was thinking I knew about peace, but I actually found out later that I don't know what peace was, because everyone defines peace in their own way. So I would go to these internally displaced camps and talk to people about peace. I would tell them, you know what, let us stop fighting, let us love one another, because it's bad to keep on waiting for handouts that come after a long time. We may starve to death. And I remember my experience from that time was this old woman, I think she was about 80 years. And as I talked about peace to her, she got up in the crowd and said, my daughter, you are too young. You don't know a thing about peace. You know, you don't know what we have gone through. You don't know how we have suffered. These people have killed us. They've killed our children. So she poured out all her heart. And that moment I was like, okay, Ria, you're not actually doing peace work because you're not convincing these people, you know? And so I stepped aside. I felt hopeless for a moment. But then I got some inner strength and I told her, grandmother, I understand your frustrations. I feel your pain. But for how long shall we keep on staying in this internally displaced camp, waiting for people like us to give you food and other services? It's difficult. But if we have peace, we are able to farm. We are able to go back to our houses. We are able to live peacefully with others. And she looked at me and she said, you are right, my daughter. We actually have to live together. We have to forgive one another. And then she said, I bless you. May you continue being our voice. And that for me was, I felt like it was a blessing that has never left me. And it kept on encouraging me to continue doing more. And also I would go to schools, like we would form like school clubs, peace clubs in schools, and have one another, and just have conversations around war and around peace. But then again, there was a crisis in my village in Mondri, and we had to run away. We had to run to Juba. And when I was in Juba, I had a chance to attend a workshop that was organized by Play for Peace International. And I was like, I asked my colleagues, and I'm like, you know, South Sudan is still a very young country. We have not known peace. I mean, we had our country, we had war in 2013. Why don't we start an initiative that promotes peace using games as well? So we started, we co-founded Play for Peace South Sudan, and an initiative that promotes peace in communities using local games. So the kind of
Using what?
local games,
Oh, local games. Okay,
like
got it.
play.
Mhm,
So what that means is we would move from one village to another,
mhm.
from one state to another, picking games within communities in the within the communities, and then learn those community games and then share them with other communities. Because one of the biggest challenges we have in South Sudan is tribalism, like one tribe fighting another, or one tribe uh, being against the other tribe, which is also, I believe, one of the fueling factors for war. So we felt like, you know what, let us let us show that tribes can love one another, tribes can appreciate one another. So we moved from places like Yei, Juba, Bibor, um, learning different games and teaching them to the communities, the youth and the children. And it was very nice because it was a time that children felt like children again, you know. And when they played, they would laugh, they would they would tell stories. It was like a moment of children being children again. And also for me, coming from that old woman who told me, my daughter, you are too young. Who are you to tell us about peace? You don't know what we have gone through. And then playing with children through Play for Peace initiative, it was interesting because if you tell a child dance like this, the child will dance. If you tell the child say A, the child will say A. If you tell the child sing this, the child will sing without even asking or telling you this is not us. And so I felt like promoting peace in children and youth was the right thing. And also for me, I felt like it was planting a seed because as a child, when you teach a child certain norms and certain ways of life, they grow up with that. Whereas the older people, like the old woman I met, it was difficult to convince her about peace. So yeah, we did that. We did Play for Peace, and it was very nice. Then 2016 crisis happened, and we lost so many of our children. Like the schools where we used to play in, the children were not there anymore. Most of them had been displaced in internally displaced camps. Um, the teachers were not there because they couldn't teach. They said, well, we're not being paid. Who are we teaching? And so the schools became empty, and our activities went down, and we also felt a sense of where are the children we used to play with? What happened? And we did something in 2016 called Solidarity for Hope. So this was, we went to the schools where we used to play and showing the children we're in solidarity with you, even with this war. We can do this together, we end this together, and having conversations with children. I remember a child writing a letter, 2 letters. We still have them somewhere archived. And the children were saying, I want a school where I can play football, where I don't have to hear gunshots. And this coming from a child was devastating. It broke my heart, you know. We gave them pens, crayons, papers, and books, and we told them to draw what they felt. And you see children drawing like a pregnant woman lying down on the floor with blood all over the child, all over the woman. And I was like, if a child goes through this is trauma, you know, this is trauma. So we need to do a lot. And then I kept on, like, my motivation for peace kept on changing and changing. And I was like, what is it that I can do? And so through my work, I was able to be recognized by I was nominated to go for a program with the Noble Women, the Noble Women Initiative in Canada. And I was there for a sister to sister mentorship program. And
Can
for
you say
about
that one more time? What was it called? The organization in Canada?
the Noble Women Initiative.
The
So
Noble Women Initiative?
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yes, so it's an organization that was founded by the women who have won the Nobel Prize. Women like
Oh, yes, the Nobel Women Initiative. Oh, yes, okay. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, got it.
yes. So from there, of course, I got more passionate about uh, peace, and I learned a lot, and I was like, I have to do more for my country. I have to do more for my country. And then as I got exposed, I also realized that there were fewer South Sudanese women in the outside. Like when I go for like conferences, I would find like myself the only South Sudanese woman. And I'm like, why? I wish we were like 10 South Sudanese women. We could push our agenda and raise our issues as South Sudanese women. So we need to do a lot. And so I, in 2016, I was in Brazil. It was the Nobel Women that took me there for a conference in a WADE, Association of Women in Development. And still, I found myself the only South Sudanese woman. And I was like, oh, I need to do something for South Sudanese women. I feel like we need to bring South Sudanese women in such platforms and spaces. So I told them I want to start a women's organization. I feel like I want to empower women. I feel like if we support women, the children that we are supporting back home that are displaced, they will be able to be supported by their mothers, by their sisters. So the urge kept on pushing me and pushing me. And also, I have been, I am a woman. I have seen a lot of struggle. I have seen my mom struggle with mental health. I have seen, I have seen women die in while giving birth. And I was like, you know what? I think the best way to empower a child is through empowering women. If we have women in decision making processes, if we have women leading, if we have women having economic power, then I think South Sudan would be in a better place. And so immediately I texted a friend of mine and I was like, hey, I want to start a women's organization. Do you want to join me? And at first she was like, no, I don't want to. I don't have passion for that. My passion is in children. I don't think I can do women's work and things like that. But finally she said yes. And then we got other sisters on board and we started Crown the Woman. And so I decided I'm going to give my energies on women, peace, and security, on empowering women to be agents of change, to be those voices for children that I was playing with that were displaced. And so since then and now I'm focusing on women. And for me, I believe that is my piece of peace. uh, yeah, so I do my peace work because of different struggles I have gone through that I do not want to see other girls and women go through.
So let me ask you
I
something.
also do my
Oh.
peace work because I also do my peace work because I feel like it's an obligation for me to do it for others to enjoy that peace that I never enjoyed because I kept on moving from one place to another, from my country to another country, from one house to another because I was looking for comfort. And if South Sudan has peace now, I don't think they would go through what many of us went through.
So, Ria, thank you for telling that story. I have so many questions. Um, but of course, I try to keep it within our time frame. So let me ask you, could you tell me simply, because this is a complicated question, but your simple understanding of what the war has been about in South Sudan?
Hmm. I I do not have a direct answer to that because I feel like uh, everyone is. I mean, there are different layers to our war in South Sudan. Uh, we have we have this war that um, we that was, can I say, initiated by political leaders, and I can say that that war was maybe they were fighting because of power struggles. So I can say power struggles, and then at a grassroots level, we have different forms of conflict. We have intercommunal conflict, like conflict between farming communities and pastoralist communities. And so I don't have a direct answer to your question, but at a national level, I feel like it's a war, or it's a power struggle war between different political parties. Before it was the SPLM, then it broke out. It broke up from SPLM, that is the South Sudan People uh, Liberation Movement. Then it broke out to SPLM in opposition, and then to other smaller factions. So I can say it's a political struggle war.
And
But
let me
yeah,
ask you this, because I think, our planet is becoming much smaller very quickly, and everything is connected to everything else, if you will. Um,
yeah,
and I guess the question is, South Sudan does not exist in a vacuum. and I'm speaking to you as a woman from the United States. Um, uh, in what ways do you see this as being a global conflict, or do you?
Well, I would say our war is not only a South Sudanese war. I feel like everyone is having a hand in it. I mean, I mean, why I say that? I mean, a war, if it's only South Sudanese conflict, it would have stopped. Because if I look at South Sudan, um, we're we're a small country of only about 10 million people, and South Sudan does not manufacture guns, but we have like so many guns and so many weapons in the country. And then I ask myself, where do these guns come from? Who is supplying these guns? And when I say it's a global war, then the people who are supplying us with guns are also responsible for that. Who are like hosting like our conflict or supporting different parties. I think they're also responsible for that conflict. When I say we have like the global community, we have the international community that is supposed to come in. We have different countries like the US, we have different countries like the UK, we have even the UN agencies that are supposed to come in to stop this war. And if they do not play their role in this war that is affecting people, then I feel they're also responsible for this. Because if you cannot promote peace, then you're promoting war. So yes, our war is, I feel like now it's becoming a global war because everyone is coming in different angles and uh, different styles. So yeah, I'll just stop there and say
Yeah.
I feel like our war is beyond South Sudan as well. Yeah.
So I want to go back to women, and if I can, I'm curious. In your mind, do women have as much power as men in South Sudan?
I feel we have power, but I feel our power is taken away or hidden somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I can say we have power as women in South Sudan, power to create change. Why I say this is because I was part of a just recently concluded peace process, the High Level Revitalization Forum that was convened by IGAD, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. And this authority has different countries like Uganda, Kenya, and all these other countries. And I remember when the 2013 happened, there was a peace agreement that was signed in 2015. And of course, there were women that struggled to ensure that the peace agreement was signed. But that peace agreement did not last. It did not hold water. 2016 again, we went back to war. And from there, we organized ourselves as women.
Sorry to interrupt. How many women were at the negotiating table for those agreements?
Well, I am not so certain now with the numbers, but I can say in 2015 there were fewer women, but in 2016 the number increased. I think in 2015 they were below 17, and in the current one they are more than 17, more than 21. So
In what's the total number? So what percentage of people were women at the negotiating table?
well, I have the statistics somewhere, but I'm losing the count. But
More or less.
I can
Do
I
you
can
have a sense? Do you have
I
just
can
a rough sense?
sorry.
Do you have a rough idea?
More, I can say more than 25.
More than 25%.
Yeah,
Okay. Mhm.
yeah. So we're talking about the power that women have, and so we women organize ourselves and say, you know what, we've had enough of the war. We want peace. And one thing that is interesting about us women is that war is started but women then organize themselves and mobilize themselves to bring peace. That is power, And
Mhm.
so we organize ourselves through different movements and through different coalitions. I was part of this coalition called the South Sudan Women Coalition for Peace, and we had female delegates, we had civil society delegates as well. But I was on the technical side. I was on the technical team supporting the delegates, the women delegates and the civil society delegates in the room. And what we did basically was to support them in all ways that they needed to ensure that the process goes on well. At some point, we were in corridors lobbying and meeting influencers that we felt had some influence towards the process and could fasten the process and in a good way. At another point, we were in the kitchen. We called it the kitchen, cooking ideas and working together working together to come up with ideas that would support the process. For example, when documents will be sent in the process, uh, a document of about 100 pages and it had to be signed like the next day. And of course, you cannot sign what you're not sure of. So they could send us those documents and we could look into them and we could engender them, try to make it youthful, try to ensure that the document favors every South Sudanese out there. And also we could mobilize other South Sudanese who are not in Addis Ababa, who are not in Sudan, and we could share with them what is happening in the peace process, and we could collect their views and ideas, and we could share it, feed it back to the delegates in the room. But the power I saw in women was um, around 2017 when things were not going on well. Women, we organized ourselves and had a silent march. So we marched on the streets of Juba. It was the first march in South Sudan. And all we wanted was peace. South Sudanese women want peace now. Nothing less. We all we
Sort of like what Lema did in Liberia.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And so with that, at least it also saw more inclusion of women.
Mhm.
We kept on pushing the number of
Across
women.
across tribal lines.
Yes, we kept on. I mean, our coalition was diverse in a sense that every we ensured that we included everyone, every ethnic tribe, and process and create change. So after that match, we saw more women being part of the process. Also, we kept on pushing through statements, through letters to include more women. And because of us, I saw that we were able to have, for the first time, a female mediator, that is Hannah Tete. So you can see the power that women bring. And I mean, it was also women being part of the process. They spoke from a human point of view. They did not, while the parties were talking about percentage or sharing of power, or this party should have this percentage, or the other party should have that share of the cake. The women were talking about we should stop fighting. Why are we fighting? What are the causes of the war? Stop killing us, stop killing our children, stop killing our husbands. And I think that humanity created some sort of change in the process. So I can say, yeah, women have power, and we still have a lot of power to change a lot of things and what is happening in South Sudan. Because I remember at some point also we could speak to these warring parties and tell them stop fighting, we want peace, and they were not listening. And then the women would cry and would like, if you don't do this, we are going to undress. If you don't do it, and they'll be like, oh, it's okay, you are mothers. And even the men will be like, I am a son of a woman, so I promise I'm going to stop fighting. And so I can say women, we have a lot of power. And when I say sometimes the power is taken away, is because of so many reasons. For example, when of course society notices women are getting power, then they start taking it away. They start oppressing you by saying you belong to the kitchen, or you do not have the capacity, or you don't belong here, or you did not hold the gun to fight. It is us, the men, who held the gun to fight. So stay away out of the process. But yeah, with all these things, part of life, and we still will use our power as women to create change in our country.
So you speak so beautifully. We are. I'm gonna keep our to it. Just maybe one more question, and maybe you have something else that you really want to say, but it's more of a personal question because I know myself. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, and the process of actually undoing patriarchy out of my cell structure has
Hmm.
been. It'll be a lifelong process
Of course,
um, that I feel like is worth my own effort, but also I realize every bit of work I do, it actually I think it frees up other women around me and men too, because I have a
of
son
course,
who I.
of course.
So I guess the personal question for you is, if you will, reflect on your own internal struggle that you may or may not have to actually free yourself from any of the ways that the culture has made you feel less than.
Well, that is a nice question. So I wanted to say that patriarchy is entrenched in our society so deep. It's entrenched in not only men but even women. You know, so we are carriers of patriarchy. Even sometimes we do not notice that we carry patriarchy with us. But I want to share that personally, I have had struggles. As a girl, I mean, it's a it's one thing to be a woman in South Sudan, but it's also another to be a young woman in South Sudan who is being vocal and wants to see change. You know, the first thing society expects you to go to school, finish school, and get married. You know, when you start when you start being vocal or questioning the status quo, then you become a threat to many people, and you're told to shut up. You're told women don't speak like that. You're told it's not in our culture for women to do this. You know, um, recently we launched a campaign called South Sudanese Women and Girls Are Born to Lead. In in Arabic, we call it Nuswan Gidam, meaning women at the forefront. And it's a deliberate campaign because of pains we have felt as women and girls of the nation. Um, and this campaign, Born to Lead or Nuswan Gidam, comes from the pains of some of the things we have had or been told, even in processes such as the peace process we were part of. I remember when Addis Ababa and when in Khartoum, when women would say, you know what, we want to see more women at the table. We want to discuss why are we fighting. We want to stop this war, and we want to be part of these leaderships. We want to be also part of these decision-making processes. And then most men will be like, what do these women think they are? You know, you women, do you think you can lead? Do you think you have the power to hold the guns? Do you think you have the capacity? You don't even have the capacity, you know? You don't belong here. Some of them would even go as far as saying you belong to the kitchen. And so there is a film we did around that. You can go on YouTube if you Google South Sudanese women born to lead, you will see it there. It just talks about. I was sharing my sentiments of how we are looked at as women and girls. As a young girl, you're looked at as you as an income generating person. As you grow up, ripen for marriage. Whereas if it's a boy, then they will say, oh, this is going to be the leader. This is going to be the president. Which is what your role as a woman is to cook and not to lead. And so we're just basically showing them that what does leadership mean? What does even peace mean? So in this Born to Lead, I basically was showing people that for me, as women, we need to start defining what leadership is. We need to start defining what kind of peace we want. Because if we leave other people, specifically the men, to define for us what peace is, we're never going to have the durable peace that we want. So I took a journey moving around South Sudan, in areas like Akobo, in Robek, in Wau, in Juba, speaking to different women and girls. I asked them a few questions like, what does peace mean to you? What does leadership mean to you? And how can we bring peace to our country? And I'm telling you, Susan, I have different definitions for peace now. In the beginning, I told you, I thought I knew what peace was, but I am learning that I don't know what peace is. And for me, peace is defined from each person's view and how they define peace. So when I spoke to different women, I spoke to women, for example, like there were a group of women who are doing peace work. So they're called the Akobo Women Association for Peace. And these women move from village to village, mobilizing youth, mobilizing people to put down their guns, to stop fighting, and so that they may live together in the community. And I asked these women, how do you do this? Because I don't see any cars in this village. They say sometimes we walk for 2 days to access another village. You see, and for me, that was look at a woman working for 2 days looking for peace. You know, trying to convince people for peace. And I was like, this is this is something that women bring that is unique. And this one of the women told me, you know what, Ria? If we had women in these processes since way back, South Sudan would not be at war right now. And that is a statement that I took seriously, you know,
I think
because
I think it's
I also,
there's
sorry,
potentially a lot. I think potentially there's a lot of truth to that statement. Um,
of course,
yeah.
I mean, connecting it to another group I met. I met a group of women who do sand mining. They
Mhm.
use their hands to mine sand from the river so that they sell the sand and feed their families.
Mhm.
And all these women had cuts in their hands, wounds in their hands, in their palms, but they kept on going to the river every day. So I had a conversation with them at around 7 a.m. And I told them, why do you keep on doing this? Your hands are bleeding. Your hands are full of wounds. And they said, we are doing this because we want to feed our families. We're doing this because we're taking care of our families. None of the women said we are doing this to get money to take care of ourselves. You see, so for me, there I defined peace and leadership. Leadership is about sacrificing yourself for others, you know, and peace is about having the economic power. I mean, if you cannot feed your family, if your children cannot eat, then it means your heart is not at peace. It means you're restless, and so you cannot have peace. And for me, that was a different definition for peace. And we have this thing in South Sudan where girls and women are looked at as income generating people. By that I mean we have like one of the biggest problems of child marriages. It's at beyond 52%. And they say more than 52% of girls are not able to celebrate their 18th birthday single. By the time they're 18, they're married off with 2 or 3 kids. And it is sad because if a young girl is married off at 13 or 14, her dreams are cut short, you know? And so this even affects um, the quality of economic growth of any country, you know? And when I talked to one of the girls, she was she got pregnant at 16. And in South Sudan, if you get pregnant, the first thing they say is, you have made the biggest mistake. You have defied the society norm. And so this girl was forced into marriage. And she was forced into marriage. And she said, Dad, I don't want to go to marriage. I want to go back to school. And the parents are like, we don't have school fees for you. Go to marriage. And she said no. So she defied that. She started working at a hair salon to raise money to pay her tuition in the university. And now, as I speak to you, Susan, she's studying law at the University of Juba. And for me, that was leadership and peace, because leadership is about owning responsibilities, saying, if you cannot do this, I can do this. And that was inspiring, not only to me, but to so many other young girls who are being forced into marriage, and saying, if this young girl Pony can do it, I can also do it. But for me, also peace for this young girl was don't force me into marriage, because if you force me into marriage, I'm not going to be happy. And so my mind, my body, and my spirit will not be at peace. And with all these other things, trust me, I was like, women, we bring a unique sense of humor, a unique definition of peace and leadership. So yeah, society is trying a lot to push the women away, to sweep women's efforts under the carpet. But we are also working hard to say we will not allow this to happen. We will ensure that South Sudanese women are part of the process. And so Born to Lead, we are advocating for more women to be included even in the new government, the new transitional government. And we want to ensure that the 35% that was accorded to the women. I mean, we did not beg for the 35%. We worked hard for the 35%. We wanted 50%, but the men said you want too much, of course. And we have 35%, but still the feeling is, you know what, women, you cannot do this, you cannot do that because you don't have the capacity, because you don't belong here. But we are saying
I
no.
think globally, women are supporting each other to say, nope, that's not what we're doing anymore. We actually are really going to support each other to get to a place where there really is gender equality.
Yes, yes. And I can say, also reflecting, I feel like patriarchy is coming back in so many different new forms.
Mm.
I was telling friends of mine, I was like, I feel like patriarchy is like an amoeba.
Yeah.
I feel like it keeps on changing its faces, it keeps on changing its ways, and it's changing in a way that, oh, you women want leadership, okay, we can make you our secretary. Oh, we can make you messengers. Oh, we can make you make for us tea. But when it comes to hardcore decision making places like Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Finance, then they will say, oh, women, no, you don't belong here. So we have to question that as women as well, and also keep on supporting each other, encouraging each other to say, if this person could get into this position, you can as well get into that position. Yeah.
So Ria, we need to wrap in terms of time. Is there
Mhm.
any final? If people wanted to reach you, how would they reach you? What would be the easiest way?
Well, I'm on Twitter. My handle is the only Rare one, so we can
Uh,
chat on Twitter.
Actually, that broke up. So you're gonna have to send it to me, and I'll
Or
post.
my email. Yeah, I'll share that. I'll share that. But
Okay.
finally, I just want the world to know that though South Sudan we have signed a peace agreement, is in around 12. That is tomorrow, September. Our peace agreement will be making one year, and we still have a long way to go. So the world should not give up on us. I mean, peace is a collective effort, and we all have a responsibility, even the Americans, even the Russians, even the Chinese. Everyone has a responsibility. As long as you're a human being, you have a responsibility to ensure that war does not come back to South Sudan.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, and look forward to staying in touch. And really, you're an amazing woman. So
Thank you. Thank
keep
you.
on keeping on. All righty.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. That was really
No, thank you.
said so many beautiful things, and you're so articulate, and yeah. So anyway, what I do need your headshot, and I'm not gonna. I have 2 episodes ahead of you, so I'm not going to release this immediately. It's going to be a little bit of time.
Mhm.
But I do need your headshot and the bio that you would like us to post on the website, and whatever contact information you want us to post on the website.
Okay, I'll share with you my bio right away.
Okay. And the headshot, ideally, it's great if the highest quality you could come up with is good. And it's good if it's a little more horizontal than vertical, but whatever you got, we'll work with it. But it's nice to
I'll
have, yeah.
I'll share with you some. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Other than that, really, I mean, you're amazing. You really, you're just so articulate, and yeah. So I hope that this ends up being useful for you. What's interesting too is I realize that, also we now will put you on our list, so you'll be getting the episodes. But there are other people that you might want to reach out to that are also part of this world. I mean, I'm sure you're that's happening with you, but I just hope that it supports you, because one of my objectives is really to give a platform for people just like you to be able to speak to the world. So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I think I think a lot of women all over the planet are kind of like, okay, we're a little tired of it. It's time to change what's going on here. This is not
Of course, of
this is not
course, of
working for us
course.
anymore. It's not working
Yeah,
for us, and it's not working for the planet. I mean, I think
true,
that
true.
yeah. So, and we didn't get into it in great detail, but all of the arms that are being dumped on South Sudan. I mean, the small arms. It's really it's a big deal. I don't know if you listened to. I had an episode with somebody named Stephanie Savell. She was my last episode on
Mhm.
the cost of war, and they've been tracking the post 9/11 expenditures coming for the United States. My country is spending so much money on military hardware. People are making a lot of money off of this stuff, and
Yes, yes.
I
I was actually we the program that I came for in the US here. We went to the University of Denver and then to the USIP, and I was asking them a question of, okay, so America is saving the world, you know, and but it's the same America that I feel like sometimes it's fueling conflict, because if you give with one hand and take with the other hand, that's what I feel. And sincerely speaking, when we talk about weapons, South Sudan is a landlocked country. South Sudan does not produce arms. Where do the arms come from? We have seen people like, let's say, donors come in to support. Like we've seen like the Canadians with the foreign feminist policy, but even Canadians sell guns. We have individual Canadians selling guns, you know. And then I wonder, you want to stop war in my country. Why are you selling guns to my country? And these are the things that I ask. And also, I mean, if America wants to stop the war, they can't, because they're supporting the war. And for me, don't there is a lot, people are suffering, people are dying. This war has cost a lot of lives, more than 600,000 people dead, more than 600,000 people displaced. And with all this, we cannot be saying, you know what, as Americans, we are going to cut support to South Sudan because South Sudan is not cooperating. South Sudan is not stopping the war. What is it that America can do to stop the war? I feel like America has a lot of power that it can leverage its power to stop this war. So, but I am hopeful. I mean, there's so many. I mean, people like yourself. The fact that you bring voices of women to speak up and other people, it means a lot for us, because I wouldn't be here speaking if it is not for you, and people would not know about even what is happening, or what does peace mean for a South Sudanese woman, or what does uh, what does leadership mean for a common South Sudanese woman. I
I
mean,
want to, Ria, I want to tell you of just a vision that I've had is that in the United States, women now are going to be in control of more of the economic resources than men, and yet, um, I think that women still are like very much asleep at the wheel in terms of how US dollars are being spent around the world and how it's affecting our sisters all over the planet.
Yeah,
And so I really would like women in the West, particularly in my country, to wake up and go, wow, look at what is happening with the level of militarization that we are supporting that is directly affecting people in South Sudan, people in
of
lots of different
course,
countries.
of course. You know, recent, like when I talk about international sister solidarity, it is a solidarity, for example, where I see American sisters speaking up for South Sudanese sisters, but not speaking about give South Sudanese women peace. But what does that mean? Or give South Sudanese children education. But what does that mean? But for me, it's about even women coming together to question the status quo, to question what is the US responsibility in ending the war in South Sudan. And like recently, we had a panel discussion where South African women were showing us solidarity. And it was a South African women for South Sudanese women. And they were calling for an end to the SGBV, uh, the sexual gender-based violence in South Sudan, because it's immense, it's too much. I mean, so many women and girls went through a lot of sexual violence during the crisis, but up to now, they've not even attained uh, justice, and so the South African women were using the opportunity to speak up for, for South Sudanese women. And they were questioning their government because South Africa is supposed to be joining the UN Security Council. And so they were questioning their government, they're reminding their president that we have a role as South Africa to play, and this is what you should do. This this is what it means. And for me, I felt like, wow, you know, and I feel like the same should happen. American women should get up and say, you know what? There is a war going on in South Sudan. What is our role in stopping this? There is a role going on in Yemen because women, we are the same all over the world. There is a war going on in Cameroon. What are we American sisters doing for our sisters out there? There is a war going on in Afghanistan. I mean, there are wars everywhere, but if we keep on being in silos, we're not going to help ourselves. I was telling someone that the fire that catches your house spreads to your neighbor's house if your neighbor does not come in to step in. So today it may be South Sudan, tomorrow it may be America. And it may be that South Sudanese woman saying, you know what, I have a sister Susan in the US. I have to mobilize my South Sudanese women to speak up for sisters like Susan in the US. And this is what solidarity should look like. And also, it brings unique sense of pressure. Because if American women organize now and say, South Sudan is forming a government, women have to be part of this. If women are not part of this, the US should stop giving money to South Sudan unless they meet these conditions. Trust me, things can change like just like this. So
Mhm.
yeah, we have a lot of work to do as well.
I actually continued recording that, and I'm not going to. I mean, I would not. You didn't know that I mean, so I don't want to release anything that would make you uncomfortable. But I might want to incorporate some of what you just said actually into the interview, unless you say, Susan, don't do that.
No, do it. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
it's very
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You're good. Okay. Good. Because you just said some very powerful things and things that I think need to be being said and things that I would like this podcast to be saying, because honestly, I'm a little frustrated with American women. I feel like we are not paying attention to just how much money we have and just how much where that money's coming from and how it's impacting women all over the world. So anyway, on that note, it's great talking to you, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch. And so what will
Sure.
happen? This is not going to be released for a little while, but
Mhm.
when it's ready, you'll get a link, and we love you to share it with your community. However you want to share it. We'll
Sure.
we'll just give you that link and you can share it however it's useful. But meanwhile, don't forget about the headshot and the bio and
Yeah.
whatever contact information you would prefer that we post.
Okay. I'm going to send you right away.
Okay. Goodbye,
Okay.
Riya. It's really been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.